Hello and welcome back to On a Very Serious Note, Season 2. And today's topic, we're talking about how tech is shaking things up in the mental health and wellness space. Imagine getting a support with just a few taps on your phone. Hanap, diba? This was made possible with MindNation. So stay tuned while we get to learn more about this amazing app. Guess who's back? It's been a hot minute, guys, but your favorite mix of serious insights and a bit of a Kellogg energy is making a grand comeback. Welcome to the season 2 of On a Very Serious Note. I'm still your resident Quella, but very insightful host, Patrick, ready to dive into more juicy conversations from self-growth, relationships, career chika, to wild travel adventures. Mas lalong fun, unfiltered, at walang halong char. This season, expect bolder topics, bigger guests, at syempre, mas madaming tawa at hugot na makaka-relate ka. Kaya buckle up dahil this comeback is gonna be serious. Kaya tara na at usap tayo! Joining us today is someone who knows this field inside and out. She's not just a psychologist, she's also a licensed professional teacher, a psychometrician, psychologist, and a certified field traumatologist. As the Chief Wellbeing Officer of MindNation, she leads a team of mental health experts who are working to create more humane and compassionate treatments. So no one has to suffer in silence. Plus, she's a trauma counselor as well, a relationship therapist, and even volunteers as a mental health responder during disasters in our country. Basically, she's a mental health superhero, our Wonder Woman. She's a mental health superhero, you guys. Ms. Aza Pasingan Lapay from Mind Nation, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. There's a good day. Wow, that's a really nice intro. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, but I think I'm not just a superwoman on my own. Yeah, I need to have like this network of support, and I think being here today, it's also like giving me that added superpower to make a difference with
Mm-hmm.
our group community.
Yes, the keyword today is making a difference. But before anything else, thank you so much for gracing your time, especially to Mind Nation for collaborate for this wonderful collaboration. As I've already been mentioning in our few back and forths of our exchanges of communication, mental health is really something that I personally advocate in my community, in my platforms. That's why kicking off this season bigger and bolder with mental health topics and, delivering this very powerful and strong message is something very, very close to my heart. So I'm really, really excited to learn more and to know what Mind Nation is bringing in the tech platform and in the tech space in terms of addressing mental health issues that our society is battling right now. Okay, Miss Aza, before we dive into the heavy stuff, I know there's a lot of more things to talk about, but I wanted to throw a fun question, just to make this conversation not just too much serious. Kasi parang serious na nga yung title ng podcast na to. So parang a lot of people are like telling me, are the topics are really gonna be serious all the time? So I wanted to hit a new segment of this season by throwing a very fun question. In this case, I'm gonna ask you, if mental health had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, wow. So I'm a superhero with a superpower. So I think
Yeah.
with the superpower, telepathy and healing powers, of course. But to clarify this, we as psychologists, we're not reading minds. Okay. But it's the usual like response. Oh, can you read my mind? But we're not. Okay. So we are
Mm-hmm.
observing behavior patterns. And from these observations, we guide behavioral changes. And that's where the healing powers comes in. So we help
Mm-hmm.
clients arrive at this recovery phase through compassionate care. So it's by means of active listening and leading them to insight and empowerment about their current situation. That they can be an active part of their own rescue. And actually, surprise in this profession is that when I remember my client saying, like, they thank me for being a safe space for them. And definitely creating that sense of calm and safety can be a superpower too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's very inspiring. That there's always a way for us to be superheroes in our own way,
Yeah.
in any way we can, right? We just have to we just have to open our eyes to see and be observant and be sensitive about others, about how to reach out and to take that brave step into being the superhero that they need during difficult times. Thank you for that. Now, Miss Aza, I know we're getting into different segments here, but let's ground this conversation with some real talk, di ba? Ano nga ba ang estado ng mental health dito sa Pilipinas? In terms of numbers or data, can you give us a quick snapshot into how the mental health data and numbers are in the Philippines? Are things getting better, or are we still fighting an uphill battle?
Actually, looking into the global scale, based on the World Health Organization statistics, 1 out of 8 people live with mental disorder. And these mental health challenges actually dramatically increase in the pandemic. I also started my practice during the time of the pandemic, and I see that huge jump in terms of those people seeking for support. So that means that there's this increase in terms of mental health challenges. And actually, we have this well-being survey from MindNation, and it shows from the last year's survey that 77% amongst employees from various industries feel this degree of mental health challenges. And these issues manifest through sleeping problems, lack of focus, clouded decision making, low self confidence, and that can actually impact their work and quality of life. And it's also important to take note that financial concerns hugely affected employees' overall well being due to the economic crisis after the pandemic. And this calls for holistic approach in terms of mental health support and intervention. But the sad thing is that actually the ratio of a professional, like one psychologist is equals to like 10,000 of the population. So imagine how we have like outnumbered in terms of mental health professionals here in the Philippines. So it's a call to action to tap these advocates, especially like having this kind of platforms to talk about mental health more could help someone who has questions about how can they seek help, because mental health is really a relevant topic right now.
Wow. Yes,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. No, I think you said, I recall you said the numbers are increasing and significantly, disturbing the society right now. You also talk about, I relate that to myself because during the pandemic, I also was struggling. I didn't know that was really becoming serious until, changes in my behavior started to show up. And lucky me because I was able to, do self-awareness. I was self-aware that that's no longer normal behavior of mine. But for people that are not even used to, hindi naman nila naririnig yung word, even the word mental health awareness is hindi common sa kanila. Kumbaga nagiging norm na nila na ano na lang, parang i-overcome na lang hanggang mag-pile up na yung mga issues and things, right? So this is really something that's still happening in our community, relevant, as you said. And I'm still shocked that right now our specialists and psychologists are still outnumbered by the numbers that are in the chart. So I think this episode really would mean to deliver that strong message that there's a need for us to, I think, shaken up a bit, like the system that we're in, to inspire people to, I don't know, participate, get involved, help as a community and society. Now, you mentioned earlier that there's a chunk of people in the workplace, that includes me, but can you give us an insight? Who are these segments or factors in the society are most affected the most? Like, are we talking about young people? Is there increasing numbers with working adults or parents? Do you also get those cases in with MindNation?
Actually, with MindNation, of course, so we are an employee assistance provider. So we cater to the demographics, like basically in various industries. But of course, in terms of the total like scale of like mental health challenges amongst the demographics, we can see the significant increase amongst our youth, being the most vulnerable. But we also have to take a look at how people of other cohorts are affected, but may not seek mental health support. Because the thing here is that there's still stigma surrounding mental health consultations. That's why platforms like this are very helpful in spreading awareness. And we can actually take a preventive rather than a reactive approach to mental health. So there's a lot of like individuals, especially of course amongst our youth, they are digital natives. So there are these mental health concerns that are triggered because of like the screen use, yeah, and too much of this exposure to various materials could have a negative impact to a developing brain. And of course, with adults, with all these responsibilities and life challenges, the milestones that we have in our development could actually have a great impact as well to our mental health. In which actually, when I encounter clients, especially those with like crisis in terms of their development, or what we call as like existential crisis, may it be a quarter life or a midlife kind of crisis, we still face various crises in our developmental milestones. That's why we have to be aware. What are the concerns that I'm facing right now? And that awareness could bridge this journey towards understanding yourself more because we change. That's the only constant thing in this world. And I think we just have to be able to embrace that change and to get in touch with ourselves. Because the more that we are connected with ourselves, the more we can take control of these circumstances that happens. Like, of course, grief, all these things, it's a part of life, right? We could get to experience that. But it's not going to necessarily lead to depression if we know how to handle it. We have that self awareness, as you mentioned, in terms of navigating these life circumstances. And we cannot control something that we don't know, right? So labeling it, to name it, that's really crucial in terms of how we take the first step towards taking care of our mental health.
Wow. Yes, I think that's very, very important to take note as well. Well, thank you so much. That's a lot of things to unpack, but I think the bottom line is the label thing, the courage to label what you're going through is the first step. Coming from a place of self-awareness is the first step to taking that journey. Hindi siya madali, hindi siya easy road, pero that's the first step to do. And yeah, I mean, as a young working generation, part of the generation of working young people, that's also very relatable to me. Kasi, kumbaga, akala mo, ano lang, yung parang ano lang, mood swings lang, pero ano na pala, it's becoming serious. And it's not just something localized. This is a nationwide, a global concern. So it's something not to be feared of because everyone has a shared experiences. I think we all share the same experiences, may it be small or big. We have also a shared responsibility to take action, at least to start within ourselves. Because we can't. I do believe we can't give that help if we don't allow ourselves to anchor first before we reach out the help that others needs as well. Thank you for that very, very wonderful thought and for sharing those insights. Now, I'd like to talk about the red flags. Kasi minsan we don't even realize na we or someone we love already are struggling, right? There's, like I've said earlier, there's a gray line. Kasi nga, admittedly, hindi naman talaga lahat ini-entertain yung idea. Even just the idea of having the mental health issue. Kumbaga, pagod lang sila. They think it's just a pagod. It's just a puyat. It's just a normal stress. But I'd like to also understand from a specialist and from a psychologist standpoint, um, how do we know or how do we realize that someone we love is already struggling? What are the most common early signs that we should watch out for?
Okay, as you mentioned, there's that thin line between normality and abnormality, and sometimes people when they hear the word abnormal, they would take a step back and be defensive. No, I'm not in denial, and that's a usual response, a valid response, of course, coming from a place where mental health is not being discussed, or maybe at home that you're not talking about feelings. So when we talk about feelings in a deeper sense, it's like an uncomfortable topic, and that calls as well again for like education and awareness on how we could actually spot these signs and how we can actually help this person be linked to a help, that they need. So for us to easily remember these warning signs or red flags, I want you to remember 5 Ds. Okay, 5 Ds. So first D that we have to look out for is distress. Okay, so it means that when a behavior indicates a sign of like bad feelings, and yeah, as mentioned, we could just be moody. Okay, but this stress also comes with duration. That's the next D. How frequent does this like mood changes or mood patterns usually happens? Is it like every day? Crying is good. Like crying is a way to release, but are you crying on a daily basis? You have to also pinpoint the duration. Usually for major depressive episode, we need to watch out for these patterns, like recurrently happening for like a 2 weeks period. So it could be a sign that you need to really seek help. And as I mentioned, I hope that we are taking the preventive rather than the reactive approach. Because actually, mental health concerns, when we don't address them with these early warning signs, it progresses and it becomes a more severe mental health disorder if we're not going to take action as we feel these symptoms. I know that it's easy to just Google the symptom and relate to the symptom, but it's still important to reach out for professional help. Okay, so that's the stress, and then dysfunction, and then the duration, and we have dysfunction. Okay, dysfunction means that areas of your life are already affected, like your work. You can see the decline in performance, or you have this decreased motivation. Well, sometimes you could be demotivated to work, but it's been taking a while now that you feel like you don't have the energy to go to work anymore, or you're yourself from your relationships. Your social life is also impaired, and all the other areas of functioning. Dysfunction also could connect to like the daily routines, like you don't have enough sleep. Actually, that's a really huge marker. If you get to have normal sleep before and then suddenly you're not getting enough sleep, that could also cause some cognitive disturbances just due to lack of sleep. So you have to get yourself checked already. And eating patterns as well, like from having this really good activity to just slumping down without activity at all. So we have to look out for these dysfunction. And then the fourth D is deviation from the norm. The behavior is odd, right? We see this person as very jolly. Now that's a normal for this individual, especially if it's your friend or family member. You know their characteristics, and then suddenly they become odd. Like they're not actually uh trying to socialize as much as possible, and then they could be isolating, as mentioned, and they're not taking care of themselves. Right, the hygiene is also affected. They may be like seeing things or hearing things that we cannot actually see or hear. So odd, eccentric behavior. Okay, so that's also what we have to look out for. So we already have four: distress, dysfunction, duration, deviance, and lastly, danger. when a person shows signs of self-harm, which is, of course, during these times, you have to provide immediate support. There are individuals who are really good with masking their feelings. That's for sure. Like they could just be the person who lights up the room, but they have this behavior patterns that could suggest that they may be uh, trying to think about harming themselves or others. Okay. And here we have to take note that for those who would actually attempt to harm themselves, there will always be warning signs. If it's not change in mood, it could be some behavior patterns that we have to look out for. And having this awareness about these behavior patterns would be, again, the first step towards us inviting someone who we perceive as having these issues to talk about it openly. And then, of course, so it's not just our responsibility, to provide support, especially if you're not trained to do so. It's necessary to link them to professional help. And so that's how we could be able to help the loved one who might be suffering from mental health issues.
Mhm. Wow, that's very detailed. Thank you for sharing those insights, Ms. Aza. I like that there's also very obvious signs that you've mentioned that we thought na that could also be a sign, right? Like we think na parang normal lang naman yan na mafe-feel ng tao pero pag naging part na siya nung formula sa 5Ds, because I think it's not just one area of the sign. It's a collective formula. Then once that becomes like a mix of all different signs, we can really tell that this person is needing of professional help. So as friends, as family members, it's really important for us to be mindful and thoughtful of our loved ones and our friends. I think it's important to also not hindi naman siguro magmarites kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa buhay nila, pero I think the with the closeness and the relationship we have with our friends and with our families, we start to build a more deep level of understanding of the heat of what they're going through or what their current life situation is, because that also helps us. That also helps us understand what they're going through para maging early warning siya at maging makatch natin agad yung mga early warnings na yan, and then we can like make a step, for the first step to everything, which is just to open up a conversation. Now, which leads me to this new question. Gusto nating tumulong, lahat tayo gusto nating tumulong, 'di ba? Pero we don't know how. Now, help us out. How can me as a friend or a family member genuinely support someone struggling with mental health? What should be our first step? I know I've said that opening up a conversation is unimportant, but is there anything very specific to follow? Because we also want to be, I think on my personal experience, I kind of like reach out a lot of people also, but I also wanted to be careful and cautious of how I approach things, because that would, I don't know, may perhaps break boundaries and parang invade their private space and would probably trigger a lot of worst case scenarios. So is there an advice that you can give, like for me and for our audience right now? What's the first step to do, and how do we navigate the help that we can extend to our friends and families who we see na parang, oy, there's something wrong na talaga?
Actually, for this one, we can leverage on the culture that we have as Filipinos. We are in a collectivist culture. We value relationships. And I think it's just that aside from valuing this relationship, having open discussion about feelings would be necessary. So I'd like to highlight the importance of asking, kamusta ka? Actually, when you try to make use of that word and check in with another person, it helps to break the stigma and encourages open dialogue about mental health. So if we actually try to also set vulnerability, not to dump everything that we are feeling towards another person, but also you're the one trying to express, because it's a friend kind of like relationship or family member who you want to foster this kind of connection, that we have to set this vulnerability first, that it's safe to tell these concerns with me. Okay? And these fears that are shared are more likely to diminish, right? That it's not as strong as before because you're able to actually verbalize it. And here, when we ask the question, "Kamusta ka?" It builds connection and create a support environment, makes the person feel less alone. The isolation could have a really huge impact to one's mental health. That's why there's a lot of mental health challenges during the time of the pandemic, because we're all in quarantine. So when you ask this question, it's like, oh, someone is willing to listen to me. And that makes a lot of difference. And actually, it could save a life. When you try to check in with someone, no, it shows that you are genuine in terms of trying to open this discussion. But also, I understand there will be times where you have good intentions, but maybe in terms of how you start the conversation, it's not in a good place. So just take note of some of these things when you're starting a conversation. First, choose the right time and place. Find a private setting. Do not do it in public, because that could just trigger someone's worry or anxiety. Ensure safety. When the person feels safe, the part of the brain for relaxation will be activated, and thus helping them to be more comfortable in terms of expressing themselves. And of course, the place where you would do that, hopefully it will be like some people would just talk in like a cafe, but making sure as well that the person feels comfortable about it. And then approach the conversation with a caring and empathetic tone. Sometimes, like as friends, you could just joke around, but be mindful of the words that you will use. There will always be a good word or a mindful word to use when you're trying to express or convey your message of support. Okay? And then respect their boundaries. If the person is not ready to talk yet, then respect that decision and just let them know that you're there to support them, and you're available whenever they're ready to open up. We're not gonna force them not to just open up things, because maybe it's like a huge or a sensitive topic for them. So just respect that boundary. Just let them know that I'm here for you, and avoid offering immediate solution. This is the thing. It's like when someone opens up to you, automatic response is to give an advice. Some people doesn't need these unsolicited advice. They just need someone to listen to them. Well, unless they're asking you for it. So that's why asking whether they like comfort or solution would be helpful. And just trying to empathize with their feelings would be very important. Validating the feeling. Emotions are valid but not always rational. That's where we guide them towards managing their emotions in a healthy way, or expressing their emotions in a healthy way. Like anger is a natural human emotion, but if you would throw things or like shout at someone when you're angry, that's an unhealthy pattern that maybe we could help them to navigate that by means of seeking other like coping mechanisms or support that could help them feel like, yeah, these emotions are valid, but there's something I can do to express it in a healthy way. Okay, so try to remember these three L's: look, listen, and link. Try to take a look with these patterns of behavior that you're observing, especially if it's part of the early warning signs that we mentioned. Take the time to listen, not just to reply, but listen to understand. There's the difference. When you listen to someone because you're just wanting them to respond, or like you're preparing to actually respond to them, then that's not listening. But when you try to listen to understand, you're trying to put the spotlight on them, not on you. And you're trying to understand their world, what it means like in that situation. And of course, if it's something intense and something heavy, you have to also take a step back and link them. Try to boost connection to other sources of support. They just don't have to depend on you all the time, but they could also seek professional help. Okay.
Wow. Thank you. That's very, very insightful and, of course, helpful for not just for me, but for our listeners. I like that it kind of like allowed me to get a wisdom that maybe the title of this episode would be Kamusta Ka Can Save a Life.
Yeah,
Because I
indeed.
think it's real. It's true, right? Like by just simply saying Kamusta Ka or like hitting that inbox or DMs with a friend and say, Hey, Kamusta Ka? um what's up with your life right now? I mean, I wanted to hear about what's making you busy, what makes you, you know, go about life right now. I think it's a start a conversation to make someone feel na yeah, like you said, they're not alone, and someone is checking up on them, and they can always lean to someone who can listen to them and be heard about what's going on with their life, and it makes a lot of difference. Kasi when ako personally, when someone hits my inbox, like even that friend that na hindi naman constantly nagchat sa akin, and eventually nag-ano na lang na, hey, kamusta? I've been thinking about you. I just wanted to check up on you or check on you. Parang iba yung feeling, 'di ba? Parang nagbibigay siya ng bagong drive to open up a conversation kasi who knows, maybe that person is just waiting for someone talaga na mag-reach out kasi they're also battling with parang seclusion period of their lives where they don't want to talk about anything in their lives because they're afraid to be judged and criticized. So it's really important to, I know sometimes a lot of people doesn't have that energy then kasi may pinagdadaanan din sila, pero I think if it's obvious na to a friend na parang he needs or she needs help, it's a shared responsibility. It's something that we should oblige ourselves into. Na parang we should take action by just saying kamusta ka. It doesn't even cost a thing. Like just a simple way of kamustahan and chatting and chit chats. It's really really important. And I like that you said na timing, place, and the tone of the conversation is also a mix of these ingredients kasi parang nag-iiba na talaga yung dynamic pag iba yung place, pag hindi wala ka sa timing. Talagang ano, it also requires a lot of discernment as a person. Um it's a it's a it's a task, but you know, hindi mo din alam na ginagawa mo yan, and at one day, at one point in your life, you will also reap that back for yourself. Na someone would also see you because it's just these are things that links us all together in our community, 'di ba? So we have to balance being supportive also without overbearing. Kasi sometimes when we're eager to, like you said, when we're eager to give advice and to reach out to a friend, we're already weaponizing that conversation with unsolicited advice na hindi naman kailangan ng person na yon. Like you said, it's just a matter of a conversation that the person, allows him or herself to share the burdens and nothing else. Like no unnecessary advice is needed. And then you can end the conversation with that very positive note na I'm always here. I always want to keep this set up na kapag may gusto kong pag-usapan, you can reach out to me. Parang it's also a good no na mayroon tayong mga positive choices of words. Yung parang, let's shy away from using the word na mabigat yung pinagdadaanan, yung mga ganun, yung mga negative connotation ng mga words. I think it's also helpful to boost the confidence na to make them feel na hindi naman obvious na binabantayan mo sila. Like you're watching them. Parang mafe-feel nung tao na, is this person watching me or like stalking me? Why is he coming here? Na parang nag-a-ask na lang out of nowhere, na nag-a-ask ng mga questions and parang pinipin out na I'm going on something. That would really, really destroy the boundary. So I think it really, really requires a lot of discernment and a lot of prayers to do as well. Because it's really challenging. But
And I think with what you mentioned about the discernment, and sometimes, yeah, we have good intentions in terms of helping others, but also we have to take note that it could trigger a defensive response, especially if you would say, you, let's say, for example, you need a therapy, or you need to go like to a professional for support. Because especially if the person has reservations, or like they don't know how the process goes, could be like very overwhelming for them. So I think just to give a few more tips, no. So remember to use I statement rather than you statement. I leverage on your relationship. I feel like having another support would be helpful for you, instead of saying you need to therapy, because that could pinpoint someone, and that could elicit like these defensiveness reaction. So just try to own the feeling, and like, yeah, just try to express to them that this is how I value you as my friend, as my family member. And that could really make a lot of difference. The compassion that we give towards this another person could definitely save a life.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, that's very amazing, insightful, a lot of things, but very, 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 very helpful. And I think it will resonate to a lot of you audience and listeners that we have right now. Now here is where I'm excited at. So I know in the tech industry, there's a lot of means to address these things, right? And I also recall a time when I was working with, um, I think it was back in before the pandemic hit, if I'm not mistaken. I came across with your platform, and I thought of this is an amazing avenue. Like instead of going to a place somewhere else and seek help, there is an easy way to just use your mobile phones or like use the internet to get and seek help, which is kind of like new to me during that time. Now, MindNation is not just an application, but it's a movement that you created, right? It's an advocacy that you created to make use of technology and address the mental health issues that our society is facing right now. And I'd like to know more about how this application or how this program started, when this program started, how it started, and what inspired it. Can you share a bit about Mind Nation?
Actually, we started before the pandemic, and it was initially a movement to support Senator Risa's advocacy for mental health. So initially, My Nation provided this support, especially during the time of the pandemic. And that's where I started. I started as a volunteer for My Nation, as a mental health responder to those who are in quarantine and those who need support, especially with the isolation and like this fear of contracting the disease, because it's really something we don't know like yet before, that could trigger anxious reactions, and like there's a lot of anxiety concerns. So that's where we started to provide these public support during the time that we need it the most. And My Nation grew to like provide this support with the industries, and also like highlighting innovation. How can we reach out for more people? Because we learned during the time of the pandemic that the online platforms could be used remotely as a means for support. And that could reach more people, especially in those areas without mental health professionals. There's a lot. So this platform that we have right now is aimed at providing wide range of access, even to those in the rural areas and those who don't have any access to mental health services and doesn't have any psychological clinics near them. And we created this app right now, so as we could be able to reach out for more individuals who need mental health support. And at the same time, it's not just something that you use for booking. There's a lot of aspects there that's also so exciting, gamified at some point, because it helps to track our progress in terms of taking care of our mental health and well-being. I'd like to share with you how this works as well.
Yes, please. I know you prepared a video for us. So, for our viewers out there, you can watch the video via YouTube live stream. And for our listeners, you can also like listen to the audio about what this app is all about, as we also explore the benefits and the magic behind this tech.
Here's how to find the right well-being professional with the MindNation app. First, select Book from the navigation bar. From there, choose an expert you want to talk to. Then, select Proceed with Matching. Select specific concerns you would like to address, and choose a preference for your expert. Don't forget to set your ideal schedule for the session. Then, proceed to your payment options. And just like that, you've been matched. Download the MindNation app today. Available for free on Google Play and the App Store.
All right. See? So there's this matching
Amazing.
feature, right?
Yeah.
For us to also connect you with the right expert based on
Mm-hmm.
concerns that you have. And with the app, we have the mood tracker as well to help
Mm-hmm.
get in touch with your emotions from time to time and to track
Oh,
your
wow.
progress as well.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting and cool. Now, can you walk us through how the steps for someone who's not techie and new? I know people can download this app through Android and iOS mobile phones, right? It's available for both operating systems and types of mobile phones. But could you give us a walkthrough, like a basic walkthrough into how people should sign up? What's the first step and getting into the roadmap of, booking the actual consultation call?
Well, actually, as mentioned, it's available in Android or app in the Play Store. No, and you could download the app, and of course, you can look into the book. It's very easy, actually. The app is designed as simple as possible so that you will easily learn it. So there's this button here, the book, and just click that. Click which expert you'd like to talk to. And you also have bundles so that we have this package that just also cost friendly, but it will help you to maintain your sessions because therapy is not just a one time thing. We have
Yes.
like monitor and also try to be more consistent about it so we notice the changes or progress. So we offer the
Mm-hmm.
bundle as well. And you've been matched. I just fill out some uh, boxes there,
Just
no,
three
the
easy steps,
forms, of
right?
course. Yeah, yes. And you're all set. So that's as simple as it is. And
Amazing. And
yeah, we
this
just want
application
to
or the
provide.
services that you offer, the services you offer are all available 24/7?
Yes, that's correct. And of
Wow.
course, yeah, this part, I would just like to share in terms of the matching feature. Like as you
Mm-hmm.
can see, of course, if you want to get matched with the expert based on the concerns you have, so just click on the concerns that you'd like to address. You can just
Mm-hmm.
off
So
these,
it's like a pre-survey
yeah,
questions.
or
Mm-hmm.
these are like your main concerns that you'd like to discuss in therapy. So yeah,
Okay.
we will
Mm-hmm.
match you to the expert who specializes in that particular area. And then the date, yeah, again, 24/7, we are available. And if you have specific preferences, male or female, yeah,
Nice.
that's how it works. Very easy.
Amazing. And then people can also choose to, turn their camera on, or they can
Yeah,
like just preview about it.
yeah. It's up to them, of course. We cannot
It's up to the
sense
user.
of
Mm-hmm.
safety when we do consultation. So
Yeah.
whatever it is that works for the client, but of course we recommend to open their cameras so that they could
Mm-hmm.
see them. That's also part of the safety planning sometimes. So we can also check in on them on where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they feel safe at that moment that they are consulting with us.
Wow. This really feels like help on the reach, 'di ba?
Mm.
Parang it's not going to be an excuse for us to not to seek help kasi andyan na yun. You can just like tap and click and book, and then voila, you can just talk to someone anytime, 24/7, round the clock, right? And could you please tell us the most common services that you guys offer? So you said there's counseling, and then there's also stress debriefing or something like that.
Yeah, and also we are holistic in terms of our approach in mental health. So we do not just have psychologists, we have well-being coaches for your productivity concerns. They are trained to facilitate the support. We have also psychiatrists, financial consultants, and nutritionists. So, we
Wow,
target specific
holistic
care.
talaga.
Yes, yes, of course.
Amazing. So you've heard it, guys. If your concern is not just about um the well-being of your mind, but you're also concerned about the food that you eat, or like, are you eating healthy and nutritious food, you can even book that with Mind Nation and get all these professional help. And I mean, it's in the age of this digital era, that we have all the available sources like the Google searches and even the other platforms. But it's really important for us to be guided from professional people, from the experts. Because sometimes it can lead to, not sometimes, I think most of the time, if we do it on our own, it can lead to falling into the crack. Parang wala na yung accountability of getting the right amount of information, or the accuracy of how we address the things that we need. So it's really, really important to seek help with professional experts like the ones we have from our Mind Nation team. That's really amazing. I mean, the mind behind Mind Nation is building a nation of a healthy mind, mindful Filipinos, I guess. But this is only available in the Philippines, or people outside of the country can also avail this?
Well, at the moment, it is available, of course, in the Philippines, but we have also some networks in the Latin America, right? We have professionals from there as well. So if you're a Filipino wanting to get support here in the Philippines, yeah, you could get access to our app. There are certain countries with restrictions, but again, our goal is to have accessibility, with mental health services. So you can book with the Mind Nation. Also, we are available not just in the app, but in Instagram, Facebook. There's a lot of platforms where you could also book. Yeah, we have our assistants there, care coordinators who would arrange the booking for you.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, for someone that's hesitant to do face-to-face consultation and therapy, myself included, I think my nation addressed that area in my life, and the convenience of just round the clock availability with experts and professionals whenever you need them. Because hindi naman talaga scheduled yung pagkakaroon ng mga ganitong issue, 'di ba? Sometimes while you were sleeping, magkakaroon ka ng mga anxiety attacks or panic attacks. It doesn't mean we just shrug it off our shoulder. We really need to address them. And if we, I mean, we can just skip them or ignore them once, twice. But if it's like a frequent visitor or a nightmare already, I think we should, I think, not I think, but I believe we should already start seeking help. Now, these technical technologies and apps are something that would really break boundaries in terms of the digital age. And I think in this aspect, My Nation also has a plan. Or what's your vision in terms of improving and developing your plan and integrating artificial intelligence maybe in the future? Do you have anything sort of like that?
Well, of course, in this age, we really have to make use of the AI, to actually maximize its potential. But of course, we do believe still with the human touch, especially in our care that we provide, still compassionate care. Nothing can beat that. We can make use of AI tools for mental health support, but the touch of compassion and empathy, something that the professionals can provide. But basically, of course, we'd like to work on innovation in terms of technology and mental health, on how we can develop more effective evidence-based approaches in terms of providing support through this platform, and at the same time to also secure our clients, because this is one of the things that we have to look out for when we're looking for mental health apps, that we have to ensure its privacy policies are in place, and also at the same time it has this like main goal to be inclusive, to provide support even to those marginalized. That's why we crafted our app as simple as it is, because anyone could be able to like understand the words that we use, the language, and it has its like gamified features that makes it more interesting for someone who would like to track their progress. So it's definitely inclusive and yeah, simplistic, and at the same time secured.
Ang galing, ang galing. Parang mental health on demand lang ang atake ng MindNation. It's like a Netflix for the soul. Amazing, amazing. And thank you for bringing this platform to the Filipino Access. Not just providing, of course, consumer access, but of course, addressing the very prevalent issue that our country is facing right now, boiling down to different other issues in the families, in the communities, and even in our relationships. So it's really, really important to deliver this very strong message that there is help. And similar to MindNation, this help can be very accessible in the simplest form. Through tech and through the application. Now, I'd like to also ask you if you've heard, or I know you've heard, but of course you've been with different clients. But let's make this a quick run through about some of the success story that you can share about someone who found hope and healing through MindNation.
I think it's especially important to take note that during the time of the pandemic, where borders are closed and some like find themselves stuck wherever they are in the world, and some Filipinos are really reaching out for support, and like they find solace and comfort knowing that there is help available. And I also get to talk to like individuals, especially like couples who are in a long distance relationship, so navigating the challenges and in that relationship. And as they like try to make use of the platform, it really helps them to strengthen the relationship that they have. Of course, they have this not the power of communication in the tools that we have right now in this digital age, that bridges the gaps and also strengthen connection with people. And that's what we want to highlight, that we are a global village. We could connect to each other in these amazing tools that we have right now. When properly utilized, it could definitely create a significant impact to feeling less isolated and even more supported, because you know that you're not alone in this.
Aw, thank you. That's very heartwarming. And of course, at the end of this conversation, all we aim for is is a peaceful, a peaceful and a sound mind community. Philippine community, especially with all the challenges that we're facing right now. We really need these kinds of help and support, especially our younger generation. So we appreciate everything that these movements like MindNation have, or similar organizations and communities with the same advocacies that are really doing round the clock work and using their talents and skills to build programs and tools and resources like what you have in providing the best for our community and to address mental health issues that are really, really prevalent in our community right now. To before we wrap up, I know we've talked a lot, and I'm really, really loving this first episode because this is really giving us a lot of insights, free insights, by the way. But let's get practical before we end. Miss Aza, that's one small thing that someone can do today to start improving their mental health?
I always do this as well. It has to be intentional, to be grateful and take time to notice the things that you're grateful for. These little things around you, may it be people around you who makes you feel safe, your fur babies, makes you feel comforted. These things that you have that you just aspired to have before, trying to take notice of what is here in the now. Because there's a lot of things happening, of course, in the present, but maybe to find this comfort knowing that in this present time, I am safe, I am in control. And also, there's a lot of things that we cannot control. So I think navigating on the things that is out of reach, something that we can control, would be helpful, to manage all these external forces that could disrupt our peace. So find something that you're grateful for and also acknowledge your efforts day to day. Being kind to yourself, it's free. And that actually radiates to other relationships. When you are compassionate about yourself, then that helps you to thrive in your other relationship. So be kind and
Wow.
also set gratitude daily.
Kindness and gratitude. Wow, thank you so much. Now, Miss Aza, please invite our listeners and our viewers. Where can people find Mind Nation and how can they reach you?
Actually, we are available in many different platforms like Facebook, Instagram. Of course, you can easily access our app through the Play Store and Apple Store. So just take a moment to take a look into these the features of our app, and you could follow on our social media pages to also get to know more about our advocacy. There's a lot of ambassadors and all these influencers as well speaking about Mind Nation, and of course we're grateful to share with you our innovative tools for mental health in these very platform. And together, we could definitely create a better mind, better you.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Iza Pasingan Lapay. Now, if there's one thing to take away from this conversation, it's this. Mental health isn't a solo battle. There's help, there's hope. And thanks to platforms like Mind Nation, support is now more than accessible than ever. Remember, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So let's normalize the conversation, check in on our loved ones, and take care of our minds. Because a healthy mind is the foundation of a happier and healthier life. Thanks again to Mind Nation and Ms. Aza for sharing her insights and expertise. And to you, our listeners and viewers, take care, be kind, and remember, you are never alone. See you on the next one. Thank you.